Hello, my name is Gia, and today I'll be explaining to you what financial management is. Before moving on to what financial management is, let me start by telling you what finance is in very simple terms. We know that we all, as individuals, require money for a lot of activities, say from buying the food that we need, the clothing for shelter, and also say our parents at least think about um, sometimes buying a new car for them or a new building or a new flat. And all of this will require money. Similarly, businesses or companies also require money to carry on their various activities, say like buying the raw materials for production, for expanding the various business activities, or to buy a new equipment for production. So various other reasons they will require money. And this money that is required by businesses to carry out its various business operations is what is known as business finance. And because of the reason that without this money or without finance, no activity in the organization can be carried out, finance is known as the lifeblood of business. Now, if something as important as money is involved, and we definitely do know that money doesn't come very easy, don't you think that it is important that we take care of this matter a little too seriously and carefully? And that is what financial management is all about. You have to make sure that you procure the fund in an optimum manner, you um, utilize the fund in an effective manner and get the best returns out of it. So, and this involves applying of the various management functions like planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the financial activities. The major objective of financial management is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders of the company or the investors of a business organization. So any decision that you make in the organization, any step that you take should ultimately maximize the wealth of the investors of the organization. And this is done by increasing the market price of the shares of the company. So how can you increase the wealth of the shareholders by increasing the market price? It is by taking three major decisions. And these three major decisions are financing decision, investment decision, and dividend decision. And these three decisions together collectively is known as financial decision. Okay, so now let's see them in detail. The various financial decisions are financing, investment, and dividend decisions. Now, let me tell you what financing decision is. So we know that businesses, they require huge amount of fund, and not always will they have enough fund to put it all from their own pocket. Sometimes they will also have to borrow from other people. So it is very important that you decide how much to raise from your own pocket and how much to ask others. And this decision of deciding on the quantum of finance to be raised from each source is what is known as financing decision. So do you want to raise it from the owners of the company, from the shareholders of the company? Or do you want to take debt? Do you want to ask people? Do you want to borrow, which is known as, taking long-term debt, which is the debentures? Do you want to go for it? So deciding how much from each source is what is known as financing decision. So Having said that, let's move on to the second decision, which is known as investment decision. So now that you have the money, so you decided how much to raise from each source. Now you have enough fund with you. Let's think about applying this fund or using this fund in different assets or in different investments. And that decision is known as investment decision. So it is about deciding where to invest this money that you have, this fund or the finance that you have, which will ultimately increase the shareholders' wealth, because that is the objective of financial management. Okay, so if we think about our own case, we know that we every day have to buy things for us. Say, we have to buy food, we have to, or once in a while, we'll also have to buy, say, clothes and all of that. And similarly, we also have to think about buying a car for us, a shelter for us, a house for us, or say a building for us. So every day when you spend money, that would be in a smaller amount, and that will be lasting for, say, less than a year. And those kind of decisions that are related to everyday working of a business is known as short-term investment decision, or also known as working capital decision. Say, thinking about the raw materials, thinking about how much cash to have each day. All of this will come as the working capital. And also, as companies, they also have to think about buying a new machine for them, or thinking about expanding their business, which will require huge amounts of fund. And the benefits of these will not just be lasting for less than a year, it will be lasting for more than a year. And those kind of decisions are known as long-term investment decision, also known as capital budgeting decision. So when we think about buying a car or a house or a flat, we think a lot about it. We think about the various factors that are involved, because we know that it is huge amount that is involved. And we also know that once these kind of decisions are taken, uh, it is a bit too difficult to reverse these decisions. So you have to be a lot more careful when you're thinking about the long-term investment decisions. So that was about the investment decision, which was about long term, which is capital budgeting, and also short term, which is the working capital decision. So the last one is the dividend decision. So dividend, as we know, is the part of the profit. So every company, they carry out their business activities so that ultimately they can earn profit for the firm or the organization or the company. So this profit ultimately belongs to the shareholders or the investors of the company. So, and not always is the whole of the profit being distributed to the shareholders or the investors or the owners of the company. Sometimes what you do is you keep a portion of the earnings or the profit within the company itself, and you distribute only the rest of it to the owners. And that part of the profit which is being distributed to the shareholders or to the owners is what is known as dividend. And the rest of which is retained or which is kept inside the organization is known as retained earnings. So this is another decision that you have to make, which is deciding about how much to distribute among the shareholders of the company and how much to keep or retain in the company. Now you decide about this, you think about retaining all of this, keeping in your mind a lot of other factors, thinking about your future perspectives, thinking about your future plans. So ultimately, you make a decision which is known as dividend decision, which is about deciding how much to distribute among the shareholders and how much to keep with yourself as retained earnings, which you can use for your future of the organization. And That was what financial management in very simple terms, the basic concepts are. So to sum it up, we discussed what financial management is and the major objective of financial management, which is to increase the wealth of the shareholders or the owners of the organization. And this is done by taking three major decisions very carefully, which is about financing decision, which was about the raising of the funds, investment decision, which is applying of these funds in short term as well as long term, and then the dividend decision, which was about deciding on how much to keep with yourself in the organization and how much to distribute among the shareholders of the company. Hope this is clear to you. Thank you.